The Unhappy Hour on the new AmericanMedia.com.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM radio network at thenewamericanmedia.com. My name is Brian Engelman. I'm your host, and I'm grateful that any of you choose to listen to the things that I'm thinking about and the questions I'm looking to find answers to. You know, a lot of times I'm looking to find answers to much bigger issues, such as who are we and why are we here? I gave out the coordinates to today's show because I'm sure you heard by now, NASA has, air quote, discovered water on Mars. There are some people that say humanity perhaps originated on Mars or was on Mars, and Earth was seeded by people from Mars who were probably also from somewhere else. Who knows? Interesting that it comes out the same time that Matt Damon's movie, The Martian, is coming out. A movie I will probably see that looks good regardless of the hype of connecting the NASA discovery. So, you know, sometimes I'm looking to find answers to that. Sometimes you wake up and you hear, oh, there's a tropical storm that may turn into something more. And, oh, there's a hurricane, Joaquin, headed your way. You know, listen, preparedness is one of the most important things in the world. Raised a Boy Scout, be prepared. You know, the phrase, prepare for the worst, hope for the best, it's great. You're supposed to be prepared. You know, there are some things like hurricanes where you might have 3 or 4 days of heads up and you go, okay, wow, we got to figure out what are we going to do? Should we go to grandma's house or should we, hang on, maybe we could do that. And there are other things that happen fast, like an attack. Get to that in just a second. But yeah, you got to make sure that you have a bug out bag put together. Get an old backpack. Get a duffel bag. I don't care what you use, grab a bag. Put a little bit of water, get a $20 life straw, a water filtration device. Get one of these fold-out solar chargers, and maybe a solar charger battery, just a little handheld thing that you can keep a few charges in. Because I'll tell you what, if it's a minor disaster and you can still maintain communications and hop on Wi-Fi and get news and information when things are down, that's invaluable. You know, get a little bit of food in there, get a couple of tools that you might need. Just put together a pack where if you got to go, you're going to have a few useful things, some medicine and whatnot, all right? But even more so, get ready in case you don't come back. Which one is that? The inch bag? What is it? In case... I'm forgetting that. Bug out is the bug out bag. What the heck is inch? Come home. I'm never coming home. Yeah, there we go. You know, just think about this stuff. Use this opportunity to kind of figure out, if I got to go, how do I get my animals, and do I have food for them? Do they require medicine? Do I have my medicine? Just get your stuff together. Where if you got to go, you got to plan. Learn that lesson from this week. Learn from the approaching tropical storm, now a Category 4 hurricane. We'll see how this all plays out, if it hits the U.S., when it hits, or whatever it does. Use this. Learn from that. The Mars thing, realize this whole thing is way bigger than our little world. There's a lot going on out there. I don't know how you're going to choose to define it, but hey, it's there. You know, find a spiritual path if you choose that route. If you don't, all right, cool. If you're not going to believe in something, that's your call. But to me, looking out there, I internalize that, how I internalize that, and what I infer from that. So take that story from the news in the week, and the news of this past week, rather, and also that shooting. Another shooting, another school. I think technically this one was not a gun-free zone, but really, you know, the president's not going to walk around anywhere without at least 50 armed security guards protecting him. And you should do the same for yourself and your family and your friends. Always carry a handgun. Always carry protection. Something that can defend your life against a monster. You know, I had 3 pit bulls run up and attack me. let me clarify. 3 pit bulls in my front yard ripped the throat and entrails out of my neighbor's dog in my front yard and then chased me into the building next door after they had killed the dog. I didn't have anything on me. I stupidly ran out there to help, and I didn't have anything. Don't do that. So, you're responsible for defending your life, the life of your family, the life of your friends in case there's a monster. So, it's unfortunate that we have to think this way, but what's the alternative? Give up your guns. That's never happening. So, in the meantime, let's prepare for the worst, hope for the best, get right with our version of God, if we choose to call it that, and make sure you're prepared to defend yourself. These are the lessons of the week in news. Okay, today I'm talking sports. Shockingly enough, I'm gonna discuss the Indians. No, I'm sure we'll touch on it, but we're gonna talk about the Browns, the Cavs, and the Buckeyes with former NBA scout, lifelong Cleveland sports fan Zak Baris. He's on Twitter @ZBaris. But I want you to do this. I want you to subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. Click subscribe, watch, and when you watch the ads, it's like throwing a couple pennies into our wishing well. Yes, I've said it before, but hey, a couple hundred of those pennies, a couple thousand of those pennies, and you got a couple of pennies, and it sure helps when you have to cover your expenses for doing the show for 4.5 years. I've been saying it for a while, but big things are coming from the New American Media. This has been like a 4.5-year warm-up, and I think once we hit the ground, it's going to be moving real fast. And all that seed money helps us. We've never asked for donations particularly, never done a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo or a GoFundMe. We're going to. Haven't really, we're not really selling products all that much, but all these things are coming because I would rather do this. I like doing this. So, when you can get by and handle that aspect of things, when finances are covered by the passion you love, they say you never work a day in your life. And, there are days, there sure are days where, oh, hold on. What about there? Is that gone? Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just getting it. Case in point, the reason you need to upgrade your gear from time to time is because it might start failing you and giving you weird feedback. But anyway, the heck point was I starting to make there? Who knows? Point is, oh yeah, there are days where you want sports to distract you from the real world, and let's face it. Regardless if you're a gun-grabbing nut, and you think there's just not enough legislation. Yeah, we should have made a law against murder. That would have been such a good idea. We should make murder illegal. Then nobody would do it. Come on. And I'm so tired of defending the Second Amendment. I had Issa Hajj. He's a constitutional Muslim American activist on a show with me on Agree to Disagree yesterday with my uncle, Pastor Brian Engelman. He's a Baptist pastor, a biblical historian, and an author and whatnot. Wrote about the JFK assassination. And Issa was talking. He's like, you just get sick of it. It's like, how often do you have to stand? You got to always defend Muslims when a Muslim acts like an idiot. Like, no, that's not you. That's not what you believe. That's not what it's about to them. Why do I have to answer to that? I just get so sick of talking about the Second Amendment. I get so sick of people saying, oh, well, we need more common sense gun regulation. Shut up. Get out of here. I don't need regulation for my First Amendment. Why do I need it for my Second? Oh, well, it's dangerous. Well, okay, I get it. If you're going to drive a car, if you're going to drive a car, you should have a license. You should kind of learn about how things work. Yes, I think people should learn about how things work with firearms. But anyway, I just get tired of doing it. So I bounce back and forth. Excuse me. I do that political show called Agree to Disagree. I want you to check out that show. It's about the history, the origin of ISIS and Israel. This is a multi-part series we're going to do with Bruce and Issa. Check it out at youtube.com/The New American Media. You can also check it out on our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side are 3 things. TNAM radio button, that's where you click play to listen live. and our Facebook and Twitter feed, because we will always send out, hey, we're going live, here's the link. So connect with us there. On Twitter, we're at American_media_, and then with Facebook, you can do a search for The New American Media and like the page. So, there are some days where I want to do a sports show to distract me from all of the crazy, just depressing crap going on in the news, right? That's our Agree to Disagree show, is current events and politics and spirituality and finance, and anything goes for the most part. But hell, being a Cleveland sports fan, I almost needed politics this week to get that sour taste out of my mouth from that Chargers, I'm sorry, not the Chargers game, the Raiders game, rather. All the energy that Johnny Manziel brought the week before with the Tennessee Titans was taken out of the room. All of it. And they just kept it so tantalizingly close. It was theoretically possible that the Browns could have won, but of course they didn't. So, sometimes I need politics to take my mind off my sports, and sometimes I need sports to take my mind off of politics. But I like good conversations, and we've had a lot of good conversations with Zak Baris. So let's bring him back into the program for the first time in a minute. And if I recall correctly, I think he was at that game. I think.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Living the dream, Zach. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. You going to the Chargers-Browns game this weekend?
I've heard that there's something going on out there. You coming out for that one?
I'm not. I'm flying to Baltimore for next week's game.
Oh, okay. And I was actually just saying, were you at the Raiders game too?
I was at the Raiders game.
Man, listen. I
got my new season tickets this year right on the 50.
What did it... Okay, hold on. That's where I want to pick things up. But before I do, I want to do this. Before we get into the meat of things, and that'll be wrapping up what happened and what it felt like with that last Browns game, I want to get to this question. I sent it to you, took a screenshot just now, and I've been meaning to get back to you on it. This guy on YouTube, and like I said, if you're not following, subscribed on YouTube, youtube.com/The New American Media. Kid says... I'm sorry, he's a young man. But he says, I'm 19. This is Cavs fan from Mansfield. And he says, hey, I'm 19. I'm going to school for sports management. I want to be a coach or GM someday. I was wondering if you could ask Zach for me, how do I become a scout so I can work my way up the ranks? I have no experience playing organized basketball. So he directed this to you, and before we get into all of the mayhem that was the Raiders debacle last week, what would you say to Cavs fan from Mansfield about how would he work his way up the ranks to become a coach or GM someday?
Especially not playing organized basketball, it doesn't help. But like you said, you can get around it. I didn't play organized basketball in high school either. So my best bet would be get a job with your local athletics department, whatever college you might go to. It's not as hard as you think. Some schools it is. In Arizona it was not that easy. I was very fortunate to have a connection in Arizona where I got my job there, working in the athletic department originally on equipment staff, and moved to basketball, later during my freshman year, transitioned into that, and it's just a role I thrived in, and I really liked it, and I really, succeeded in it, and that's the best way you can go is walk in your local athletic department, get a job with the basketball team. That's how you learn the game. Otherwise, you're going to have no chance if you do not learn the game. It doesn't matter if you go to a D3 school, D2, D1. There are people from all over the country at small schools that wind up with big jobs.
And
so
it
really
basically
doesn't matter where you go to undergrad.
Start
just work
local.
with your team.
Yeah, start local and get anything you can and start being around it all and just absorbing it and then seeing what other positions open up as it starts going, and then you can kind of navigate your way through it, right?
Yeah, it's all about learning, and like I said, getting your foot in the door. Once you get your foot in the door, it's up to what you do from there, and then becoming a grad assistant, if that happens. There's so many ways to go about it.
All right. Yeah, I was thinking about my history in radio, and I used to think of my B&B. I was just having this conversation yesterday, I think. I was talking about my B&B radio show, Brian and Brandon. It was like 3 in the morning. What was it? Friday nights at 3 in the morning. at Bowling Green State University, where I went to school, and it's like,
You
how
must
did
have
I?
had more than 4 or 5 listeners to that station at 3 in the morning.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, it was beautiful because we didn't have to play the crappy indie music that like the station was kind of saying, here's our format, and I said, no, we're free.
Yeah, you got to play Creed and Nickelback.
It was more Incubus, Make Yourself. It was Stained, Dysfunction. It was
No issues with those.
First Limp Bizkit. Those kind of things as new metal was coming out. But yeah, I mean, how did I get involved in it? I just did it. I showed up and said, I'm interested in this. The cool thing was we had freeform format because so few people were listening. But I did it. I kept showing up, and I kept doing it year after year. I did like 3.5 years of it. And, it's like if you like something, just get involved and start on something, and the path will reveal itself to you. Sometimes I don't even know exactly where the next step is, but I don't even worry about it. 4.5 years of doing this show, I don't care. I'm still doing it.
One step at a time, and like I said, it's all about getting involved with your local athletic department. Once you get your foot in the door, you're going to make something of yourself. It's all about networking too and making connections. Going to every networking event you can too will help. Volunteering at summer camps, for basketball helps too.
Volunteering at summer camps for basketball?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's tons of ways you can get involved in the summer. They're always looking for volunteers, applying for an internship at, whether it be IMG Academy, Impact Basketball Academy. There's so many different places to go out there and train during the summertime, and go and work and learn on the job.
Yeah,
especially when you're volunteering for an internship. They want you. They're always willing to take free help.
Oh, yeah. Free help is the best help. And it's kind of like you set the market for yourself. I worked for a couple years as a server before I became a bartender. I think I was, in fact, the first male bartender they had in 21 years, if that goes to tell you. But, I'd been a server there and reliable for a couple years, and when I was getting close to 21, I was like, hey, guys, I really want to do this. So I started learning as a server, how do I make a cocaine lady? How do I make a good margarita? How do I, and as they would I would ask them questions, and they would help me. And then when I turned of age, they gave me a shot, and I kept doing it. But once I got my foot in the door as a server, I inquired about being a bartender, and then I got as much knowledge as I could, and I asked a lot of questions. Tried not to be annoying about it, but I asked a lot of questions. Then as soon as I got the opportunity, I raised my hand and said, I would like to do that. I want to bartend, and it's like, then once I could go anywhere in the world and say, yeah, I've been a bartender between this and this, here, here's the time frame, I've been a bartender, I already have experience now. Now somebody's not worried going, man, do you know anything about this? Do I have to train you on everything? So once you can I totally agree with that. Just get your foot in the door in the field you're interested in, and then just kind of keep looking around, keep your head down and work hard, but ask questions, don't be annoying, and things will start showing you a pathway forward. So, yeah, I think that's good advice, and I didn't even think about summer camps and volunteering. That's another good idea, too.
It's all about networking, the people you meet, getting your foot in the door, like you just said. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You can go to a small D3 school, and like I said, there are plenty of people, go, I mean, if you're a Cavs fan, go look in the Cavs front office and see where all of their front office went to school. I can promise you they're not all big schools.
Right.
The director of player personnel for the Cavs, Kobe Altman, went to Middlebury, in Vermont. And then he worked at Columbia Grad School as a grad assistant. Like I said, there are tons of people who come from small schools. They're not all coming from the Michigans, the UCLAs, the Arizonas, the Texas, Ohio State, Duke, Kansas. They're not all coming from those schools. You're talking about schools like William and Mary, smaller schools. It doesn't make, just because you go to a big school does not mean anything. Sometimes it helps because of the connections you make, but not always.
Yeah, that's very true. And something else when you talk about networking and it's about the the connections you make and that making all the difference. My mother is a hairstylist. Someone would come in and say, "Oh, hey, Susie, how you been? Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, how's that new dog? How's Sparky doing? Oh, Sparky's great. She's a year old now, and and oh, she's just the best. Oh, that's wonderful. And how's Jimmy? How's his baseball going? Well, actually, baseball just wrapped up, and now he's looking forward to field hockey. Oh, cool. And that new house? Yeah, you finally finished the kitchen renovation. Oh, so happy about that." My mom didn't remember all that stuff. When it comes to networking, she showed me the trick, and she had this little index card file. And she says, yep, after every haircut I do, I jot down the notes of what we talked about. So when they come in the next time, you bring up the things you've already talked about, and you remind yourself as much as you can about that person that you started to know. So, even if you're crappy at networking, just shoot yourself a text. Hey, just met so-and-so. He's the guy from the thing. Here's his email. He said to follow up. And then actually do these things. Actually following up is one of the places where I know I have, I don't want to say dropped the ball, but, actually following up after a connection, it'll go a long way in this world if you do that. So, plenty of ways to cheat sheet, even if you're not good at networking, to make sure you remember situations and who people are and how you could help them. That's the other piece of advice I would give. I know he asked you, but I'll wrap it by saying,
yeah, it works the same whether you're in business, whether you're in sports. It's all the same. Sports is a business, and people need to realize that.
Yeah, it is.
It's all the same.
And the way people are going to like you is not by saying, hey, I know you from that TV show. I got this great thing that you should help me with. You go backward. You're like, hey, I recognize you from that thing. I was wondering if maybe I could help you by doing this thing. And it's like everybody wants assistance. Everybody wants, you offer your value to those people. Don't, try to make a connection.
I'll tell you this, too. My sophomore
backward.
year of college, I was going for an internship going into my junior year of college. And I came across, I don't know about it anymore, but there used to be this blog called sportsagentblog.com. And it had all the major sports agencies on the list and what internships they were offering for the summer and what jobs were available. So I found one called Gaylord Sports Management in Scottsdale. They just got bought out by Lagardère a few years ago, which is one of the biggest sports agencies in the world. So at the time, Gaylord Sports Management they took a bunch of people from IMG. They brought in David Yates, who was the vice president of IMG. My boss, who is now working at Lagardère worldwide. So they brought in a lot of their staff, but I called relentlessly every day 33 times before I got to actually talk to who became the woman who interviewed me and became my summer boss. 33 times I called. That's
very Masonic of you to hit that 33.
Before I actually spoke with her. Once I
persistence.
I spoke with her every day in order to try to get an interview. And the first thing she says to me on the phone, she said this. She goes, the first time I talked to her, she goes, obviously you're very persistent. I'd love to bring you in for an interview. And I said, without even meeting me? She goes, I can tell you really want this job.
As long as you do it professionally, as long as you don't become annoying. You can be persistent without being annoying. And I can say sometimes it's a fine line, but it's all in kind of how you approach things. So, persistent without annoying.
You can define annoyance and persistency could be the same thing, depending when looking for a job. You want to be annoying. You want people to remember you have to stand out. And that's the biggest thing, is standing out in a job, putting in the long hours, going, when a player wants to go shoot around at 3 a.m., to being able to go and shoot around with the player at 3 a.m. Being willing to do that, being willing to put in the time and the hours. Because if you're not, nobody cares.
Someone's going to out-hustle you. If you're walking, someone behind you is running. Go ahead.
So if you want to be there and you don't want to stick out, then fine. You can do your own thing.
Yeah.
But if you want to be there and stick out, trust me, coaches notice. Everybody will notice.
Yeah.
If you put in the time and you put in the effort. Even if you're not great at it, you learn on the job.
And that's what they say about quarterbacks. Be the first one into work and the last one out of work, well, not out of work, but out of the building, rather. Studying tape. And people notice when you're working and when you're loafing. And like I was saying earlier, if you're walking toward your goal, there's somebody behind you running toward it. So, kick it up a notch. And I don't know. Hopefully some of that stuff was helpful. I know that I got a job. I was working at an agency myself, at the William Morris Agency, and it was a crazy place. There's a lot of overlap between music and movies and television and sports. It was weird. You walk down the hall one day delivering mail, as I did for a little bit there, and turn the corner one day, it's Jerry Rice. Turn the corner the next day, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like, literally has to duck to get out of the doorway. Just this monster of a man. But I mean, getting that job was certainly not just something you get lucky with. You really got to earn it, and you do that by standing out. And, there's no limit to what anybody can accomplish, regardless of where they're at today, regardless of what their background was. It's all about what are you doing now and what are you going to do to make it happen. That's the beauty of this country. And
it's a sport where, and the thing in sports is nobody cares where you came from. It's how you got there. They don't care if you grew up rich, if you grew up poor, and trust me, if you grew up rich, don't ever have a sense of entitlement going in there because, trust me, it does not help.
Yeah, I guess I probably always had that, not chip on my shoulder, but I guess, my parents did just fine, but it was like higher middle class because they busted their ass. But it was definitely hard-working, thrifty, hard-saving, paying attention. And it's those little life lessons that you learn growing up that are really going to make all the difference in how you approach conversations with people, and the tone that you use, and the way that's something I'm learning. I'm still trying to get better at. But, yeah, I mean, just that relentless pursuit. I'll relate it to when I played football. I'm not a tall guy. And the guys I was going up against on my own team to take my position were much bigger. And it was like all I had to my advantage was a relentless pursuit and the knowing that I got this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it well. I'm going to do it the best on the team, actually. And nobody's taking it from me. And you just go after the things you want. So, yeah, sports was definitely something I considered going to for a career choice. I'm doing radio in sports. It's different. Zach, when did you know that you wanted to do sports? What's your major in? What was high school and college?
My major was macroeconomics. So, but like I said, it doesn't even matter. You could be in communications. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It depends. Like I said, it doesn't. There are tons of different aspects of going into sports. Not everything requires a business degree.
And when did you know that? When did you know that was it for you? That was the direction you were going to start going down. You're turning off onto this road. When was that?
My first day at college, I knew that I wanted to go into sports. I mean, I knew I wanted to go into sports when I was in high school. I kept relentlessly applying to the assistant, to one of the associate athletic directors at Arizona. I kept sending in emails, never emailed back to me. One time they got emailed back by an assistant. After that, no emails. And then I got to campus, still didn't have a job. I was with my cousin on campus the night before, who happened to be pretty influential at the University of Arizona, just from being an alumni and from donating and being, basically that, along those lines. That's as far as I'll go. And said to me, he goes, well, what are you doing for a job? And I go, well, I want to work in the athletic department, but, nobody responded to my emails. I really don't know what to do. And he goes, well, I'll have your phone out tomorrow. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, just keep your phone on you. I'm sitting in class, and Jim Livingood, the athletic director, calls me on my cell phone. He was a freshman in college, and I was, kind of blown away by it. I wasn't expecting that.
Nice.
And in his office is Lute Olson and Mike Stoops. So
nice. Yeah, part of the reason there that worked, one, is because you finally, through talking, and making a decision you wanted this, you keep pushing for it. If you left all these voicemails or, all these emails and nothing's responded.
I still had a connection, but it didn't.
But what I'm saying is a lot of people would have stopped after 5 or 10 or so many emails, maybe got discouraged or distracted.
My sister's boyfriend had tried multiple times to try to get a job in the athletic department of Michigan. This is only, I want to say 3 years ago, maybe. She's been out of college for a year, so, he was all down and out. He really wanted a job in sports. The kid's working, right now as an investment banker. I mean, he's in investment banking. He works at Goldman Sachs. So, but in college, he goes to me, I can't get a job. I go, well, what do you want to do? And he goes, I want to work with the baseball team. I go, okay, so go to the bookstore, buy a Michigan polo, get yourself a pair of khakis, wear the same outfit they wear, and wear a pair of nice shoes or wear tennis shoes, whatever you have. And he goes, okay. He goes, and I said, have your resume, have a cover letter. I said, walk in the athletic department, walk into the baseball coach's office. He goes, I can't do that. I go, why not? I go, what's stopping you from walking into his office? He goes, well, I can't do that. And I said, just walk into his office and do it. Walked into his office, calls me back later that night. He goes, hey, I got a job working with the baseball team. I'm a baseball manager.
What's the? I don't know if it was Michael Jordan. No, it was Wayne Gretzky. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
And this is what I always tell people. I go, you want a job in your local athletic department, they're going to find a spot for you. They're not going to turn you down. You might not get where you want to do and work with the basketball team, or if you go to Ohio State to be a football manager, those are highly coveted jobs. Or a basketball manager in Arizona, you're not necessarily going to get one of those jobs. But I will tell you this. If you are persistent, they will hire you in a volunteer role for the athletic department if they feel you're right for the job. Even in a volunteer role. I mean, I worked 50, 60 hours a week my freshman year of college. I got paid. I volunteered technically until they realized they had to pay me. And then I worked, I'm putting in quotations, 15 hours a week for $5.15 an hour. The other pay that I got was unpaid. So you make $75 a week. So you're making just over $1 an hour.
Yeah, that's great
But
if they're made of silver and it's 1801.
School at the time. $5.15 is minimum wage.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. It's the time.
Well, I know this much. I was talking about going and working for an agency myself. Well, skip back a few years before I moved to Los Angeles. When I was in school, I volunteered myself. Just like when I got involved with radio, I got involved with the University Activities Organization on campus because I was kind of upset nobody was booking concerts. I was seeing cool things go to Ohio University down in Athens. I'm seeing stuff at Columbus. I'm seeing stuff at Central Michigan, Notre Dame. Every school, Miami University, Akron, Kent, everybody's getting concerts. Nothing at Bowling Green. And so I was looking through the newspaper at the time. I just dated myself because the newspapers aren't really the thing now. But anyhow, I was looking through the newspaper, and in the back it had an advertisement saying looking for a concert director. And I'm like, concert director from the UAO, the group that doesn't put on any concerts? Oh, hell yeah. So I went in for my interview, and I basically kind of tore into them and just said, which one of you guys is responsible for concerts, and why don't we have one? And by the end, I was in there just kind of to complain and kind of to say, yeah, I can do this. And I ended up getting it because they said you were so fired up and it's so hard to do. Good luck. And anyway, the point of that was I've decided I wanted to get involved, so I went to it, like your advice, get some khakis and a polo and just walk in there. So I walked into the interview and I did it. I volunteered, 30 to 50 hours a week, maybe 60 hours a week, depending on which week and what we were in the middle of. But by the end of that semester, we raised our budget from $9,785 through co-sponsorships and budget reallocations and other methods to enough to the point where we could book a $100,000 concert for the MTV Campus Invasion Tour with Moby opening for Bush. And it was a big deal where 4,300 tickets were sold in a day. It was a really big deal, especially since I was going to school and I couldn't work a job because I didn't have any money because all my hours were going to volunteer. But what that did for me was I could then, 5 years later, move to Los Angeles and introduce myself to the William Morris Agency and say, hello, my name's Brian. I hired you 5 years ago. I would like to work with you guys. And you know, you have to volunteer for a long time sometimes to get the experience or get your foot in the door with your first bartending gig or your first assistant coach thing or, even if it's just volunteer staff. Once you're there, then you can turn it completely upside down and then start, maybe if not calling your shots, putting yourself in a better position, I guess. So, I don't know. I guess persistence is my takeaway. And in yours, yeah, all of your advice works, Zach. So hopefully this is going to be helpful for Cavs fan from Mansfield. Keep leaving your comments on youtube.com/The New American Media and follow Zach on Twitter. He's at Z Baris. That's ZBARIS. All right, Zach. Cleveland Browns, man. Cleveland Browns. You're there. Were you there for the Johnny game for the Tennessee?
I was there for the Johnny. I will be at every game this season.
All right. Well,
the only game I won't be at is the 49ers game.
Okay. Well, then
I'll be in Vegas.
Tell me what it was like for that Johnny game and what the energy was like for the following game. Walk me through the differences.
The Johnny game, immediately the gates flood open. He throws a touchdown pass. First drive of the game to Travis Benjamin. We're like, all right, this kid's got an arm. I will say this about Johnny. They did not throw the ball enough in that game, but they didn't need to. They're up 7-0, then they're up 14-0 on the next play, and then suddenly Benjamin returns the touchdown. They're up 21-0. They're up 21-0. And
Crushing
then all
it.
of a sudden the Titans climb back into it.
Yeah.
The Browns are just playing conservative. It was honestly a boring game for the most part. They didn't really do anything. And then it got to be a close game. You're like, oh, shoot. The Titans are coming back.
Yeah, we've lost those games
And,
how many times in the history of being a Cleveland Browns fan, seizing defeat from the jaws of victory.
and I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And I was just like, I was like, they're going to lose this game. Then all of a sudden, on the last drive, Johnny comes over, throws that pass to Travis Bench, and you're like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, he did have 2 fumbles in that game, but it was an exciting win. It really was.
It was exciting to watch. Maybe part of it had to do with the fact that I went to an actual Browns backers bar for the experience where you're surrounded by a couple hundred of your closest, most rabid Browns fans. But
I'll never forget where I was for last year's Titans game.
Jail?
I was in L.A.
Well, it's kind of the same thing. L.A. in jail from time to time feels that way.
Well, my friend left at halftime in the game. He's like, this sucks.
Yeah, well, I mean, that Titans game looked like a lot of fun, especially that first half, that first quarter. But then things changed. Josh McCown went down, first drive of the first game of the season. And Tennessee was with a week of Johnny preparing as the starter. And no, it wasn't perfect. Neither were Peyton Manning or John Elway when they came in for, nobody's perfect when you get there. You got to take your lumps and figure it out. But it kind of seemed to me like the smart move would have been, even though Josh McCown cleared concussion protocol, to just give him an extra week and say, hey, Josh went through this thing. He's getting up to speed. Johnny did an okay job. Johnny's at least earned the right to manage this game and be the starter this week, and we're going to think about bringing Josh back the next week once he's fully recovered. Do you like that they switched back to McCown? What do you make of that move?
No, not at all. Here's the problem. You've got a 36-year-old journeyman quarterback who's never won at any level. Didn't win in college. He's not winning in the pros. He's not very good. It kind of bothered me because Johnny wasn't perfect. But, at that point, I had my confidence in Johnny. Let the momentum ride here. Obviously he's able to hit the deep ball. And you saw in the last game, McCown, they could have won that football game.
They left 2 touchdowns on that field on that last drive. 2 touchdowns, one underthrown, the last one, and then the other one was overthrown.
So badly underthrown. He missed 2 touchdowns, yeah.
And with
Benjamin
Barnage.
was wide open.
I know. I don't know if you can expect Johnny to make 100% of those longer throws, but hey, you know what? I saw something, at least a meme going into last week, and it said the entire NFL has 6 plays of 50 yards or more, and Johnny Manziel is responsible for 3 of them.
For 4 of them?
Something like that, yeah. And it's like, okay. Well, I don't know. It just makes you wonder if they're ever going to give the kid a chance, or if he's so damaged that he's not worth it, and they're trying to tank this season to get a high pick next year, but they can't tell the fans. I don't understand what's going on with this team right now.
I can't tell you either, Brian. I mean, I think they're a mess. I saw Jimmy Haslam on Sunday. He was getting in the elevator as I was walking out of the loges. I went up to the loge for the second half of the game, and I've got some friends that sit right behind me in a loge on the 50. So I went into their loge, and I saw Jim Brown, actually. I saw Jimmy.
Nice.
But I'll tell you this: I really don't understand what's going on. I'm not one for liking to fire the coach, other than really Pat Shurmur, because I thought he was a terrible hire. But Ray Farmer has got to go. I mean, they drafted so poorly. I mean, you're getting out-drafted by the Raiders. You see how important a first and second rounder of the draft. Look what the Raiders have done.
Amari Cooper, Khalil Mack.
And Derek Carr. 3 guys have totally transformed that team into being a team of losers, into putting an actual real, I'm not saying they're a good football team, but they are a real legitimate football team with a legitimate offense.
Who's our quarterback? Who's our staple running back? And who's our badass wide receiver? I'll tell you what, at receiver, I just keep having this vision of Travis Benjamin on one side and Josh Gordon on the other. I'm telling you, that kind of, as hard as it is to get excited for something so far down the road, and even if it does get here, who's to say Josh isn't going to just screw up again because his track record is so crappy? But I'll tell you what. I mean,
it could be a lethal combo. They really could, with having Brian Hartline as a third receiver.
Oh, God. Brian Hartline playing the role of Brian Brennan the Joe Juravicious, why you
Of
got
course,
Slaughter
name
and
every
Langhorn.
wide receiver in football history.
Now you got me thinking. Were there any others? Brian Hartline, Joe Juravicious. Yeah, every.
Darren Chiaverini played for the Browns in '99.
Oh my God, I forgot about him. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but that would be completely deadly. By the way, I heard Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack are going to be in San Diego for the Browns game, doing an event.
Are you going to the game?
Hey, you know what? I will update you. I will talk with you about that, and
Okay.
we'll see how the weekend goes. We'll leave it at that. But no, I mean that was a heyday for the just remembering that when I was like 6 or 7, Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner both ran for 1,000 yards in the same season with Bernie Kosar. Like, why can't we kick ass again? Why can't we just become a perennial playoff contender again? What is so impossible that the Browns cannot figure out on reboot after reboot after reboot? Josh McCown is not going to change our culture. The only thing I would say is this. If Johnny Manziel doesn't really understand the timing of how to appropriately check down your receivers, McCown might suck, but maybe he still needs to sit back there and learn what McCown is doing and just failing to execute so Johnny can have a chance.
Here's the thing. The only way Johnny's going to get better is by playing the game now, and that's what I've realized. Stick him in the game, let him play, see what he can do. You've got nothing to lose at this point. You really don't. You're 1-2. The only thing you can do is pray. I don't want McCown to suck. I just want him to get injured. I don't want to see him play. I really am.
Oh, you had to say that out loud.
I don't mean to get injured. I didn't mean it like that.
But
I just don't want to see him.
But listen. You're saying what what a lot of us are thinking, and none of us actually want to say it, and I don't fault you for saying it.
I don't want to see him get a concussion. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
I want him to see.
You would, because there's no nice way for someone to miss a game, like a personal family tragedy. We don't want to wish that on someone.
No, that I'm not hoping for.
An injury, what could you injure without really injuring yourself? What's a goofy thing? You could, be picking up a kid's toy and break the pinky finger in your throwing hand, and it was just this fluke thing that happened. I don't want to root for an injury. But listen, I was at the game. I was at the Tim Couch game where Kelly Holcomb came in, and everybody was cheering like crazy, and the guy in front of me yelled at me, "Hey, stop it, he's injured. You're cheering that he's injured." I'm like, no, I'm just really happy Kelly Holcomb is playing. I'm not rooting for bad things to happen to Tim. I'm just really happy I get to see Kelly Holcomb, because if you compared him, I wanted to see Kelly. So, I think a lot of us now we just want to see Johnny. We don't want wish anything ill of Josh McCown, of course, but the only way he's going to get it is by playing. And, maybe he'd get his head ripped off because he's still a little bit away from fully grasping the offense. How are we ever going to know? This coach won't give him a chance.
Exactly. I don't think Pettin wants to give him a chance. I don't think he'll ever intend to give him a chance. I really don't, unless he has to be out there.
I wonder why that is. Could Josh McCown possibly present the Browns with a better opportunity to win a game?
I think he lost so much faith in Johnny last year, I think that's what's caused it.
But they all say he's a night and day totally different guy from last year to this year.
But, like you said, in a coach's eyes, and maybe he's just playing with Johnny, showing him that he can't trust him. Keep working hard. The thing is, you have nothing to lose this one. I want Johnny to play when I go to Baltimore next week. I really do. But I want the Browns to win this Sunday.
Right.
I want them to win every Sunday. I don't ever cheer for them to lose. I don't ever root against them, ever. I don't care who the quarterback is. I still wanted to see McCown do well on Sunday. I wanted them to win. I just thought it was a bad move to start him in the first place. And he clearly he was underthrowing guys. Terrible all day.
And some of that legitimately might have been from having 2 games off. You rusty and your timing's off. Maybe. The game speed, you can't practice game speed. And you can't practice the lights and the fans and the noises and the things moving on. You just can't practice that. You can try. You can, if it's going to be an outdoor game, you can practice outside. If it's going to be loud, you pump in extra noise. You can practice, but it's very different from the game. And, he just didn't have it. But the Browns still hung around, kind of like this Cleveland Indians season. You start off like crap, like the Browns did to the Raiders, like the Indians did the first half of the season, and then they're making enough big plays where they're getting right back into it, and you're close but not close enough, and it's just this big, disappointing mess, at least for the Indians. And then the Browns, you got to admit, though, the Browns did fight back. McCown was making more plays. He didn't make the big one at the end when it counted, but we fought our way back, and then we had a special teams blunder, and the team was fighting, and it was close, and it was theoretically a winnable game right down to the last minute there, right?
Yeah, it was.
Any given Sunday. How bad do you think this team is? Because I always refuse to give up on my team. I can be frustrated.
The defense looks terrible. Everything about them looks terrible right now. They don't they don't have a running game. The offensive line's been crappy. Their two biggest strengths are offensive line and their defensive line have both been terrible.
It's unreal. Mike Polk, the comedian from Cleveland, he says something like, "It is statistically more unlikely that you can be this consistently bad than it would be for you to accidentally, occasionally be good. The odds are staggering." And I just remember that so clearly because you should have accidentally been good by now. Accidentally. Somehow, some sort of area of your team excelling, and you have a season where you kind of put it together and make a little run. It's just like we just keep shooting ourselves in the foot, man.
It still baffles me how you take a backup offensive lineman over a wide receiver. In the first round, you take an offensive lineman to start him, not sit him on the bench for a year.
Hey, Cleveland Browns, you can't really redshirt your players the same way. Sign Johnny Manziel and man, he's on the bench. Cam Irving. I don't even remember the guy's name, but why would we draft two backups with first-round picks? It doesn't make sense. But we were.
Gilbert stinks.
Yeah.
They got rid of Jabal Sheard, who's going to be an All-Pro this season. He's getting rave reviews in New England.
I like Jabal Sheard. I always liked him.
Me too.
Oh, well, who else? Hold on. New England also has a running back that used to play running back for the Browns, right?
Yep. Bobby Rainey, who I always liked, too. Not Bobby Rainey, I'm sorry, Deion Lewis.
Yeah. Go figure. All you got to do is run away from... Look, so based on the odds of probability and statistics, I'm just going to say this cannot last forever. I love something we shared on the... Oh, by the way, if you guys aren't following our group, we have a group called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. It's a private group. You can search it, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. And as long as we can verify you're an Indians, Cavs, Browns, or Buckeye fan based on a couple pictures or something on your site, and that you're not trying to troll me from the Philippines, we'll let you into the group and have a good time with it. But one of the pictures that was shared in that group, it was a picture of the Cleveland skyline, and from the terminal tower, it has the bat signal going up, and it has the number 2, and it's black and white, and it shows the whole city, and Johnny Manziel's kind of with his head kind of down, kind of getting ready. And it was just calling out, can somebody save this lousy franchise already? I don't know if Johnny's the guy or not, but he won a freaking Heisman. He has skill. He's undersized. Who was our last badass quarterback? Some dude with a jerry curl who came out of Miami who threw sidearm. And it was always, wobbling around back there and clumsy and unathletic. So it's who else would be the savior of this franchise? Give the kid a chance. That's my point of view. I just... Give him a chance. I don't know, but my patience is running out with Mike Pettin soon. You used to be excited for the Ray Farmer hire, weren't you?
Very.
What?
It's not that I hate Mike Pettin so much. I just think they've done a terrible job drafting.
There is an opportunity for Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel to turn this around and contribute in big ways this year, or have they just given up on both of them?
It's tough to tell.
I don't know. Well, it's only week 3, going into week 4 here. We have plenty of time in this season, but if we want to be a team, we sure as hell better come back from that game against the Chargers 2-2, or else we may be talking fail for Cardale. Are you high on Cardale Jones? He hasn't started off.
I still am. I think he looks shaky this season so far, but doesn't mean anything bad.
Well, I want to talk about the Buckeyes, but first, what do you see happening with the Chargers? Give me a prognostication. How do you think the Browns are going to respond to every group on their team, special teams, offense, and defense, getting torn apart this whole week, and them knowing that they deserve it?
24-10 Chargers.
24-10 Chargers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll call 31-23 Browns.
Yep.
All right. So then we'll
Wait, what did you say?
No, I called 31-23. I think whatever quarterback.
31 points.
I'm telling you. Look, I'm not saying I'm Nostradamus. I'm saying this is what I see happening. We'll find out if I'm close or not.
31 points.
Hold on. What's been the score of the game so far this year? How many points have we put up? We put up. Well, hang on. I gotta pull up the.
Brian, I wonder what kind of crack you're smoking.
The good kind.
31 points.
All right, we put up 31. No, we put up 10 and 28. All right, so we're looking for another field goal from the Titans game. We're looking for, a touchdown and a field goal from the Raider game. Yeah, I think we can do it. Who knows? We'll find out.
The Raiders have one of the worst defenses in the league.
Are the Chargers all that great?
I don't think they're that great, but they can't be. I mean, I think the Browns kind of suck.
Hey, you know who else sucks though? Baltimore, 1-3, Pittsburgh.
On Sunday.
Yeah, and we'll find out. Dwayne Bowe, what do you think about Dwayne Bowe? He's been just a nothing since he's been here, but he's saying once I hit the field running, you guys will love it.
Yeah, if he ever does. Yeah, so good. This is also the guy that said Josh McCown was a top-tier NFL quarterback this offseason.
Well, Pat McManaman is, he said that he expects, Mike Pettin said that he expects Bo to be active in San Diego. So we'll see. I don't know. I've seen Hartline make a few really nice catches, like when he's falling down backward sideways, one of the catches of the year, I thought, so far. Whatever that play was, falling backwards with one hand. And Travis Benjamin has shown he's a playmaker. We just got to give him the ball, So I think McCown could get his timing right and either underthrow or connect, not underthrow or not overthrow and connect on one of those Benjamin plays to make that game an overtime game, getting us to 30. I could see this team performing a lot better, and they have the chance to grow. Whether they do or not. Hey, if you're a Browns fan, you would say history will lean toward don't expect too much from these guys, and you won't be too let down, to paraphrase the Gin Blossoms. But I don't know. I'm still optimistic for the season, and I'm going to leave it at that. We can get more into the fail for Cardale stuff if the season continues to stay on a negative trajectory. Otherwise, I'm going to try to stay positive with them. Over to the Buckeyes, I mean, they're number one in the nation. They were number one last year. Haven't lost a game this year, but by many accounts, they haven't played a good game yet, or against a super tough team. So what's going on there?
I think Irv finally, I'm glad he's finally committed to Cardale as a starter. I mean, it's about time. He has to. He had to. And I just don't think JT Barrett's nearly as good. And I think, people said when you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah, they also say with quarterbacks, it's hard to look downfield when you're constantly looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can understand that. And there are situations like a Buckeye team where it could be that way. Brian Hoyer, I mean, geez, I can't sit here and defend all of Hoyer's work, but 2 years ago he was, he looked okay until he blew out his knee, and then the first half of the season before Alex Mack got injured, he had the Browns looking like a pretty good team. But yeah. It's kind of hard to do it when you're constantly looking over your shoulder, hearing all the hype about Johnny Manziel, who's just a drinking, partying douchebag, he's coming into stuff hungover. He's got rolled up bills in Vegas. He's cruising around on swans with champagne.
The guy wants to do a little coke in the offseason. Give the guy a break.
Hey, forget about it. No, but he didn't leave it on the side. He was bringing it to work. And, yeah, Hoyer couldn't hold on. The team fell apart, but, it's probably similar to college, where you have kids they're the same age, nobody's in the NFL, nobody's really proven all that much. But Cardale stepped up and won him 4 major games there on a really tough stretch to win the first ever national championship. He did kind of earn it. Are you worried? Because I'm worried about this Buckeye team. I've seen them dodge some bullets. And I don't know that they're showing me they have it to be a number 1 team, let alone a top 10 team. So far they don't.
Just wait till Big Ten play starts on Saturday. They'll be fine.
Why do you say that?
Because they're so well coached. I think they'll be just fine.
And there is something about conference play where everybody kind of shakes off the rust and you get right into the thick of it. And, there are no off weeks, when you're in conference play and, you're in a decent conference. What do you make of Michigan? Michigan's... God, they had 2 of the top plays I've seen all week last week.
They looked good last week. I was very surprised they crushed BYU, and it's good for the Big Ten. They needed it.
It is. Michigan down is weird. I like Michigan right where we can handle them. I don't like them better than us. I don't want them to ever be better than us, but I want them to be that last hurdle to clear.
Also, I'm glad they took out BYU, because if BYU would have beaten Michigan, they probably would have ran the tables and been undefeated.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Unless they lost the week before. I think they lost the week before.
But a very good team.
They beat,
I don't know.
I think they had lost the week before, but Michigan looked really good they looked really good last Saturday.
Yeah, it is good for the conference. Like I said, I don't want them to beat me. I don't want them to beat the Buckeyes, but it is good for the league. And man, you look at the 49ers falling apart after Harbaugh leaves. You look at Michigan.
Their
maybe
defense
turning
is
around.
also half their team retired.
They kind of did. It was really weird. 49ers. That's a really strange one. But yeah. Okay, so you're not as worried as I am maybe with the Buckeyes. I'm a little concerned. I'm legitimately concerned.
I am a little bit, but I'm not yet to the point where I'm freaking out.
Okay. All right. Indians. Did you pay any attention to baseball this year? Finally,
I'm not gonna lie, I did not.
Yeah, it was hard to. It was really hard to.
I followed the box scores and stuff, and I watched some games here and there, but no. This might be the least amount of basketball I've ever watched. Baseball I've ever watched. They were just out of it from the beginning, and they started coming back, and I still just didn't have the faith in them. And like I said, I hate being that guy because I love the Indians. I just didn't get into them this year, unfortunately.
Okay, here's the same here. And I've been following it and watching our solid pitching, and we could never really get it. That Francisco Lindor apparently is looking like a badass. And that's good, but, when you're trying to save money to the point where you don't play the guy for the first month and a half of the year so you can get an extra year of arbitration, and in that first couple months you fall so far back you can't make the playoffs, it's like, oh, damn it. Not that this was necessarily a World Series team, but it was a playoff team. It was close enough. A couple games out of it with a couple weeks left, you're just as good as the next guy.
They don't have the firepower to beat the Blue Jays either, but...
Hey, I didn't think that the Marlins had the firepower to beat the Indians. That happened, They
did, though. Go look at that roster.
I don't want to look at that roster.
I'm just saying, though, that team was extremely talented.
I want to pretend that never happened. By the way, BYU, they beat Nebraska 33-28 the first game. They beat Boise State 35-24. They lost by a point to UCLA, number 10 UCLA.
That was it.
Yeah. And then they got trounced 31-0 by Michigan. But you look at that lineup, BYU playing Nebraska, Boise State, who's number 20, UCLA, who's number 10, and Michigan.
That's the thing. If they would have beaten UCLA and they would have beaten Michigan, they would have been on their way to the national. They would have been on their way to the national title because they're out of conference schedule.
That's the most impressive out of conference schedule I've seen in a long time.
One of the most I've ever seen. Yeah, one of the best.
Well, when you're an independent, I guess you can do stuff like that, like Notre Dame.
I thought they're in the Mountain West Conference.
Hey, I'm looking here. It says FBS Independent. I got BYU, Army, and Notre Dame. So.
Oh, maybe they are independent.
I don't know. I had to look it up. I can only pay attention to so many things at once. And Vladimir Putin is now getting involved in Syria, and that's occupied a little bit of my RAM in my hard drive, in the space of my brain. But I digress. Okay, so let's move over to the Cavs, shall we? We do talk basketball on here from time to time. Wow, where do we start? Let's start with something not related to Tristan Thompson, because that's obviously one of the.
I saw David Griffin at the bank this afternoon.
We could start there. All right. So you're where?
He was sitting on his. He was in a dealership car in a Cadillac, in an SUV, at the bank, and I can tell you this: he was on his phone for quite a while before he walked into the bank.
Huh. Tristan Thompson, my friend. What in
he didn't sign the qualifying offer, so here's the thing. He's not going to be an unrestricted free agent next year unless the Cavaliers sign him a 1-year deal.
What is happening? Listen, we don't need distractions.
Trust me. Here's Brian, I'm going to tell you this right now.
Give it.
If he didn't sign the 1-year qualifying offer, the Cavaliers and him are working on a deal.
Uh-huh.
Trust me when I tell you that one. They're working on a deal. They might not have something today or tomorrow, but they will have something very, very soon.
Yeah, that's fine, but it reminds me of all those years the Browns would draft, the Braylon Edwards or the Kellen Winslow or William Green. I just remember for like 10 years in a row, whoever we signed in the first round, the difference maker, they always dicked around in the offseason, and they never signed their deal, and they missed all the OTAs, then they missed some of the mini camps, and by the time we got them that season, they were garbage. They were as garbage as Johnny Manziel because they weren't on the same page. And now I know we're not changing head coaches over the summer. I know that Tristan is working on the sets I'm sure LeBron is practicing with him and keeping him up on. I'm sure he's not falling behind as bad as some of those cases, but still, I don't want the freaking distraction when we need to win a title this year, hell or high water. This is the year it needs to happen. So for me, I don't want the distraction. You think this is going to get wrapped up soon? Or
I do. I think it'll be wrapped up in the next few days.
Because I'm starting to get pissed at Tristan. I really am.
Just hold on it. Before you get so pissed at him, just hold on.
I've been holding on all off season. How much longer? Come on, I need a timeline. What did David say to you? No, I know.
Give him the weekend. I'm telling you, he'll be in camp next week, signed.
Oh, okay. Well,
my guess.
Shoot. That's okay. That's pretty close. Yeah, because the Cavs media day and no distractions. Okay, let me ask you this. Tristan's deal, is there a way that us succumbing to this is going to be yet another in the line of LeBron James general manager decisions where we vastly overpay and it handicaps us and handcuffs us in the next 1, 2,
Brian,
3,
you
or 4
want to ring
years?
this season?
I want a dynasty.
Do you want a ring this season?
Yes, and next in the year
after. That's what
after.
matters the most. Having Tristan for the next 3 to 4 years, trust me, if you've got an owner with unlimited pockets, it's not going to affect anything.
I mean, our ability. And I don't care if Dan Gilbert has to
Brian,
drop
you've
an
got
extra
your court.
time.
Brian, just let me explain this.
Yes.
The Cavaliers re-signed Tristan.
Yes.
You have LeBron. Okay, LeBron isn't conceivably locked up, but he is. Okay, so let's say you re-sign Tristan. You've got Kyrie locked up for 5 years. You've got Kevin Love locked up for 5 years. You would then have Tristan locked up for a long time. You'd have LeBron here for the rest of his career. You can go and re-sign Mozgov. You can always sign guys like Mo Williams and stuff. Have a guy like Dellavedova. Keep your own guys, J.R. Smith. Shumpert's here 4 years. The entire core is locked up.
Okay.
Think about that.
Okay, well, let me talk to you about the core.
You're
because
not
what
going to
I
go
was
out and sign a
asking...
prolific free agent anyway.
Which one?
You're not going to go out and sign another prolific free agent anyway.
Well, I heard from Stephen A. Smith. I heard from Stephen A. Smith that Kevin Durant's going to be a Cavalier next year.
I did not hear that one.
No, I'm kidding.
LA Lakers.
Yeah. Wait, where's he going?
LA Lakers. I hate Stephen A. I really do.
I've never heard you do your Stephen A. impression before. That was funny.
Well, when I'm actually on my game, I can do a really good one. Larry Brown, when he starts talking about Larry Brown.
You know what? Here's what I want to do. I want to work on something where we can have Stephen A. Smith talking to LA sports radio guy, and you could just have a conversation with yourself for like a couple minutes. I would love to listen to that. Just two different characters that you do. Okay, but back to our team and locking them up. What I'm saying is, I don't care if Dan Gilbert has to go an extra 10 or 12 million out of his pockets, and then he gets hit with a luxury tax, which is time and a half, so you're at 15 million. I know I'm throwing around ridiculous numbers like it's no big deal, and even if you are some sort of gambling and real estate kingpin, you still feel $15 million. It still happened. But I'm not even worried about that as much as I am. What would Timofey Mozgov command on the open market? And by signing Tristan to an overpaid deal, will that some way limit our ability to re-sign Timofey?
It might. No, don't forget, they could have gone and trade Anderson Varejao next year, which would help free up $10 million.
Maybe we could do that thing. Didn't we do that with Zadrunas? Didn't we send him somewhere and then he came right back?
You can't do that anymore. No, they're not going to. They're not going to do that with him. So it's not happening.
Well, when did that change? I remember that was a couple of years ago, right?
They changed it right after that. It was the Ilgauskas rule.
Oh, is that what it's called? I missed that.
Basically, yeah, it's the unwritten rules. It's the Ilgauskas rule.
Oh, wow. Because that's a pretty neat accounting trick. I'm going to make this disappear, and you're coming right back. Okay. So how could an overpaid Tristan deal hurt the Mozgov thing, since we can't trade him away?
The thing is, it could prevent them from, from signing, from signing Mozgov.
But it's not that there's a ceiling on how much Gilbert can spend. It's just as long as they're on our team already, we can't go over the salary cap and sign somebody from the outside, but we can do it from the inside. Am I understanding that, the basics there?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's where it starts to get a little confusing. And if you're saying you could see Tristan back in a couple days, I would like to see that very much. I really think this team, I hope they're playing angry, focused, and controlled anger, controlled rage. Did you have any takeaways from the Cavs media day this week? You have a chance to check any of that out?
I've checked it out a little bit.
Did anything jump out at you other than Kevin Love's 70s hair perm, his man perm?
No, that I thought was funny.
Yeah, it's an interesting look. I don't know, I don't know. I'm just so looking forward to it. The Browns have been so disappointing so far. I feel so disappointed by them, and just watching the Buckeyes not dominate. I'm so concerned about being let down by these guys that I'm really looking forward to basketball this year. Are there any big storylines you're following for the season for the casual fan that things to look for this upcoming season?
For basketball, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great year. I really do. I think there's a lot of exciting teams out there this year. I think it's really going to be a fun year.
And we're not necessarily ready to do our preseason special, but maybe off the top of your head, do you see a team that might be ready to take that next leap? Could it be the Pelicans, or is it?
Anytime you've got Anthony Davis on your team entering another year in the league, they've got a chance. And if they're healthy, yeah, they're going to be very good, very good. They can win close to 50 games if they're healthy. I think. Oh, by the way, speaking of media day, I don't know if you heard Derrick Rose's comments the other day.
I caught there was something about some sort of sexual assault, and then he broke his orbital socket. I'm sure the two are not related. Well, actually, I'm not sure.
Talking about 2017 free agency, how he wants to get paid.
Oh
so
no!
He's no longer just comfortable.
Okay.
So he can support his family.
So my God, another one of these guys.
He's comfortable, Brian. It was $100 million deal.
All right. Hang on a second. Walk me back here. What was the sexual assault accusation, and then what was with his orbital socket being? He wasn't punched by someone after raping a girl, right?
He said it was a gangbang group sex.
Oh.
And that she just wants to be reimbursed for the sexual toy.
Oh. I kind of glossed over that story. I didn't know it was one of them. Okay. Wow. And then he just took a hard elbow at practice. That's all that was. That was him cracking down again.
Yeah.
But they said only a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
4 to 6 weeks.
All right.
6 weeks, I think.
I had no idea that Derrick Rose story was so bizarre. Thank you for that. Now I'm trying to get that visual scrubbed off the backs of my eyeballs here.
That's exactly what he said, though. He's not the brightest guy. He's got a very high basketball IQ. Outside of that, the actual IQ is nowhere to be seen.
A savant.
I don't think he knows where the letters I and Q are in the alphabet.
Oh man, Derek, point. Oh, which letter? Oh, he went to the Floyd Mayweather School of Learning. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, Floyd doesn't know how to read, so.
All right, so I don't know. I feel like I'm getting ready to get into the season preview, but we're not at that point yet. I'm fighting the urge to ask about.
It's still a month away.
I know, but the Bulls. How do you see them reconstituting themselves? Now I'm thinking about the rest of the Eastern Conference, and I'm starting to get questions and wonder about things, and I don't want to go too far. But give me
let's put it this way.
Yeah.
The healthy Cavs team last year would have blown away the Bulls. The Bulls are not any better. They're just a year older than they were last year. The Cavaliers are actually better.
Who's the biggest threat? The best team not named Cleveland in the East?
Oof, man, you're killing me here.
I know, because we haven't prepped for this and we haven't seen the offseason. And we're kind of shaking off the cobwebs.
Like I said, I'm not afraid of the Miami Heat. I don't think they've really done much. I think they've added a couple nice pieces, but I think people are way overrating them because you're never going to get a healthy Dwayne Wade.
I think that's where UFC is MMA. I think he disagreed on a previous show. He was saying definitely the Heat are going to be a really, really tough out this year.
He also said the Bulls were going to beat the Cavs last year. So
well, okay, fair enough. But he did say the Warriors were going to win. But that was probably before Kyrie went down. So
I mean, like I said, I was expecting the Warriors to win that series when Kyrie and especially when Love went down.
Yeah. You really wish the Cavs could have done what the Buckeyes did. When Braxton Miller goes down, JT Barrett steps in. When Barrett goes down, Cardale Jones steps in. So it was like...
Well, that kind of happened, but they just ran out of gas.
So close. So close, because that's what it was.
They didn't have enough players playing. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Go back and look at it. I mean, they were playing 7 men. You had Mike Miller playing at that point. Like you said, if Dellavedova would have had Mo Williams in that series, Cavs may have been able to win that series. He was just so gassed.
Delly was completely burned out. LeBron was beyond burned out. It was an epic finals for him, epic playoff run for that matter. But yeah, I mean, if Love went down and then Kyrie goes down, but then you got the King, just like Braxton and JT and then Cardale, like, oh man, it was so close. But yeah, Spurs coming out of the West, you think? This will be our light version, and we'll wrap this up.
Spurs or Golden State's going to be one of the two.
Maybe Spurs, Golden State, 1-2, playing in the championship, perhaps?
I mean, those teams are just going to beat each other up so much.
Right.
So that.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it all. We have a little bit more time before the season starts. Does it feel weird? You're where now? You're in Cleveland right now?
I'm in Cleveland right now.
What is it? Cold and rainy? What is it? The beginning of October?
No, just cold. Tomorrow's supposed to be 49 and rainy. Then it's supposed to be a kid in the 60s, 70s next week.
Is it starting to feel like high school football season and
yeah,
college
today it
football
really
time?
felt like fall. Like
okay.
it went from being summer to like really fall.
Well, you've lived out here in Los Angeles, and it's kind of like sensory deprivation.
October's like the worst month of the year. September, October, like the worst month of the year.
Oh, it's been hot. It's been hot for the past month. It's been annoyingly hot. Yeah.
People are always like September, October aren't that hot in LA. I'm like, those are the 2 worst months of the year. Like, I never enjoyed traveling more out of LA than September, October. I hate it. Like, I was in October last year in LA, and it was 105 degrees outside. And people were like, I think it gets it. They're like, it's fall. I'm like, don't understand. It's like, you come to LA, May and June and July really aren't that hot. It's in the 60s, 70s, 80s max. It rarely gets into the 90s.
Yeah.
And then once you get to August, it's 90s, 100 every day from especially the end of August to September to half of to 3/4 of October. It's brutal there for about 2.5 months a year in LA.
Well, and I say it like this. I say it's kind of like we have 4 crappy weeks where it's too cold. And I say California chilly because cold is a relative term that if you're not used to snow.
It does get cold there. I mean, at night it gets down to 30,
It gets California
40.
chilly. That's not cold. -degrees and
right,
wind chills.
But I'm saying though, with that marine layer in there and stuff, when it gets cold, when it gets into the low 40s at night and the marine layer kicks in, it's cold.
Well, we have 4
I live in Cleveland
weeks.
and it gets cold.
We have 4 split up weeks. I say when it's like a week here and then it's normal, then another one 2 weeks away. Sometimes it's not all at the same time, but about 4 weeks of too cold, about 4 weeks of too hot. 10 months out of the year it's not so bad, but yeah, it's something definitely Zach understands and something we understand having been out here for the past 10 years. You kind of lose track of seasons. Summer, winter, spring, and fall. They all just blur together except for the sports. the sports kind of remind you, oh, it's basketball season, oh, it's football season, and that's why I love it so much. So, Zach, 30 seconds on our way out the door. Any final words, sir?
No, thanks again for having me on. I'm looking forward to do the season preview soon.
Man, yeah, we'll do that season preview. Zach, thank you for answering Cavs fan from Mansfield's question earlier. I'm sure he appreciates it.
You can shoot me a direct message on Twitter or anything if you want to talk.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely. Shoot Zach a direct message on Twitter at @ZBaris. That's Z-B-A-R-I-S. Cavs fan from Mansfield. Guess what, man? You just got yourself a connection. You got yourself a little mentor/advisor, should you choose to accept it. Zach, I appreciate your time. We'll do this again soon. Go Browns, go Indians, go Cavs, go Buckeyes. I'll talk with you in a few. And for everybody else out there in the TNAM radio network, I want to thank you for listening. Check out and subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. Check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side, the TNAM radio button. We also have our Twitter feed at American_media_. And we also have our Facebook page. You can do the search for The New American Media with spaces in between and like the page. Check out our other shows, Agree to Disagree. Talking lots of politics, lots of religion, lots of finance, all the good stuff. And everyone out there, I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk again soon. Peace.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to Agree to Disagree with Brian Engelman, and this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the newamericanmedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. You know, there are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.